All right, Larry Krueger here at Levi's Stadium for the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show with a little recap of everything that happened down here in Santa Clara on this Sunday. Training camp practice number 4 for the 49ers on the practice field outside the stadium. All right, let's get into what happened today. And of course, check out Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations, Emeryville, Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out, so get there early. Get some brisket chili. Tell them the crew sent you. All right, scary moment on the practice field today. Terron Jackson went down in practice. And this was right around 11:30, kind of late in the team portion of the practice, and he had to be carted off. He I don't know if he lost consciousness, but he had consciousness. Shanahan told us after practice he was conscious. They were taking him to Stanford Hospital for precautionary tests and that kind of thing. He does have movement of his extremities, but it's a scary moment anytime anybody gets hurt on the field, especially when it's serious and it's a neck type thing and everybody took a knee, and it always kind of scares you. It scares the players, scares the staff, scares the media, scares the fans. Everybody's there. You got hundreds, really over a couple thousand people standing, there taking a knee, watching this, holding their breath that he was okay. And sure enough, it looks like Terron Jackson is going to be okay. So good news. It's a rough sport played by rough guys, and guys do get seriously hurt in this sport. And anytime you see something like that, it always makes you kind of pause. It's tough on everybody, but Terron Jackson is going to be okay. We'll have more, I'm sure, details about his condition in the days ahead. As far as practice went today, I thought the star of practice was Corey Kiner, the undrafted rookie free agent running back out of Cincinnati. Kiner was Mr. Football in the state of Ohio. I believe it was like a 4 or 5 star recruit, went to LSU, looked good at LSU. His mom and dad, though, are from Cincinnati, and they were the only people that could watch him play in Baton Rouge. So he's like, hey, I want to go play for Cincinnati so some of my friends from high school can come watch me. And so he transferred to Cincinnati. This guy did nothing at LSU but produce. He did nothing at Cincinnati but produce. Go look at his football card from college. I mean, the guy plays every game. He produces, and he looked great today. He had a jump cut on one of his runs that is really this is what this guy does. He's got great balance, great jump cutting ability, very shifty, excellent contact balance. In fact, I asked Christian McCaffrey after practice about contact balance. Is there things that you can do? And he's like, yeah, you can do some, one leg exercises and things like that to try to maintain your balance. But he's like, a lot of it's natural. He's like, you either have that contact balance or you don't. And Corey kind of really does have it. He had a great practice. He had a really impressive jump cut early in practice. Then he made an incredible catch over Robert Beal down the field. And then he had another run later on in practice, and he showed excellent contact balance. So Corey Kiner is a ball player. I'll tell you that right now. He's going to be good in the preseason. He looked really, really good. As far as the kicking competition, today's competition goes to Greg Joseph. He made 4 of 4 while Moody missed the last kick. The longest kick of the day, Jake missed. Jake was 3 of 4, but Joseph was 4 of 4. I think Moody missed from 54 yards out. From my calculations, that's what it looked like. So give Joseph the win today over Jake Moody in the kicking competition. I thought Isaac Guerrero had a really nice practice. He made a touchdown catch on a nice little contested catch on a pass from Mac Jones. He also had a couple good runs. Guerendo's just an impressive player, an impressive athlete, and it just seems like every practice goes by, he just keeps stacking good practice after good practice. The Niners have a couple of undrafted free agent corners that I think you guys all got to keep your eye on when the preseason games start. Jacob Robinson, who wears 49, and Derek Canteen, and I forget what number Canteen was wearing. I think it was, it might have been 40. They both had PBUs, and they're both making plays on the ball, and they're exciting young corners, and it's really going to be interesting to see if these guys can step into the NFL and do it. I mean, it's a very tough position to play corner in the NFL, but the Niners look like they have 2 pretty good undrafted players here. Robinson has shown a number of good plays already in the early going, and Canteen The one thing these guys have in common is they both had incredible ball skills going back to college. I think Canteen had like 8 or 9 interceptions career, and Jacob Robinson had 11. So, I mean, that's outstanding ball production. Also today, I thought we got our first real look at the physicality of Richie Grant. There was a ball in the flat, and he just fled over there, snuffed it out, had a nice little hit. They're not really hitting. The pads don't come on until tomorrow. But Richie Grant definitely flashed, and he looks like a guy who can do some things this year. Mason Pline had a nice catch from Tanner Mordecai. I think Pline looks like he's going to have a good preseason. Isaiah Hodgins caught a nice deep ball from Tanner Mordecai. Hodgins is in a very competitive situation at wide receiver, but he has experience, and he's got size and pretty good ball skills. Doesn't have great speed, but he made a play down the field today. And then practice ended on a Terron Neal, if you want to call it a pick six, you can. I don't think it was a pick six, but it was an interception to end practice. So Terron Neal, who's got $2.25 million guaranteed by the Niners, and he's a really good special teamer. We'll see if I would imagine he's going to make the team as a backup corner. It'll be interesting to see, though, with Jacob Robinson and Canteen playing good ball, if the numbers allow Neal to make the roster. There was no Nick Bosa today. There was no Christian McCaffrey today. There was no Trent Williams today. They all were given a rest day. Really smart, right? 49ers are just going to be really smart with these guys. Don't put too much on them. Juwan Jennings left practice early with what they're calling a calf injury. We asked Shanahan about it after practice. He said he's not really sure of the severity, so we're going to have an update on that, I'm sure, tomorrow, but it didn't look real serious. But Shanahan did reference that JJ had this calf injury in the OTA period earlier in the springtime, and maybe it's a recurrence of that calf injury. And I don't know if it's just a little bit of a nagging calf, and they're just being extra cautious, or if it's an actual injury. Shanahan talked to us after practice and told us, hey, look, we need to protect CMC from himself, which is a totally different attitude than I think they've had in the past, where they've been like, hey, we're going to let CMC do what he feels he needs to do to prepare. Now I think they realize, hey, look, they got to get to Super Bowl Sunday one of these years with a healthy CMC. And if that means you got to protect him from himself, you got to do it. If that means you got to use other guys, you got to do it. I think they're starting to kind of get that message that that's really important. I asked Shanahan what he really wants to see in the first week of camp, and he's like, I want to see everything. I want to see attention to detail. But if I say I want to see attention to detail, and then I don't say I want to see energy and effort and violence and physicality and all these things, he said more than anything, he likes to see some consistency early in camp from his team. He was asked about Ayuk, and he said, it's great having Ayuk around, and that he's in drills and trying to, contribute to the team in some way while he continues to rehabilitate his knee injury. We talked to Deommodore Lenoir after practice, and Grant Cohn asked him, I'll say this, Grant asked him the question that I think all of us wanted to ask him, which was to comment on his situation in Los Angeles. And I'll give Demo total credit. He's like, man, I'm a different guy than I was 5 years ago. In other words, I've got, I'm a different person myself. I've got to think about who I'm with, where I'm at, and it's the progression of life, and it's like, you want to be loyal to your friends from yesteryear, but at the same time, you got to make good decisions. It's all about making good decisions. So I was very impressed by Demo. You can listen to the presser yourself and hear his answer, but he took total accountability for the incident in LA, and he was prepared for the question, and he hit it out of the park. He didn't run from it. He didn't minimize it. He didn't try to sidestep it or try to deflect in any way. No, he took total responsibility and said, man, I need to be better. So that makes you feel really good about Deommodore Lenoir, to be completely honest. I asked Demo a couple questions as well. I asked him about Demarcus Robinson. He said that Demarcus Robinson is the kind of guy that fools you. He's shifty and he's difficult to defend. And I said, what makes him a tough cover? And he's like, I covered him as a rookie in Kansas City, and I took him for granted then, and I kind of didn't fully appreciate how good he was. He's like, he'll never surprise me again. He's just a difficult cover. He's shifty. He's difficult to cover. He's underrated. A lot of the little things that receivers need to do to be great, Demarcus Robinson does, and Demo appreciates it. And I also asked him about Isaiah Nair, because Nair, the rookie from Nebraska, has been very impressive in the early going. And he's like, yeah, he's like, the big kid, he's going to be nice. I think that's the way he phrased it. He's going to be nice. That's big credit from Demo. We also talked to Christian McCaffrey after practice, and he's really excited that he's got a baby girl. You can tell him and his wife are really excited. He said, I'm really excited to see my wife, kind of adapt to this new role of mom. And you can just see, I mean, it's like you have a child that adds so much more meaning and to your life and what you're doing. And he already brings it, right? He brings every ounce of energy and intensity and everything he's got. But he added, he said, hey, it adds a little bit of focus, adds a little bit of meaning to what you're doing. So, but he also kind of referenced that he understands that he needs to pace himself, and that the rest days, he has to be okay with these rest days. He has to be okay with these other backs. He talked up Jordan James and Corey Kiner. I asked him about Corey Kiner's contact balance, and he said he's really impressed by both of the young backs, and there's Garendo there, so it's a deep room. And also we asked Shanahan about Cowing and Renardo Green, because they both went down this week with hamstring injuries. And Kyle's thought was that they hope to return by the time the Niners take on the Raiders in Las Vegas in the preseason. So Cowing and Renardo Green, they do have hamstring injuries. They are nursing him back. He thinks they can be back Raider week of the preseason when the Niners head off to Las Vegas. I believe that's preseason game number 2. All right, that does it for the breakdown on this Sunday. As you can tell, beautiful day. We're inside the stadium right now doing this video, but obviously everything happened out on the practice field. If I would say, obviously the story of the day was Terron Jackson being carted off, and that obviously is scary, and Terron's a good dude, and our thoughts and prayers go out to him. But I would say, if you said, give me a theme of today's practice, just looking at my notes and everything, I would say, Corey Kiner on the offensive side really looks good. I mean, he's all over the place. He's making plays. He's got great contact balance, and he runs with great determination. And I think, we haven't even seen the pads come on, but this is a guy that's no picnic to tackle, and he's a really good young player. You can tell. And then I would say the 2 young corners really stood out today, Derek Canteen and Jacob Robinson. And it's going to be really interesting. They're undrafted free agents. Can they make the roster, or do Trey Brown and Saron Neal make it over them? I think that's going to be a really interesting little debate as we go through the preseason and we inch closer to the cut down. Do the Niners go with the younger guy? The last couple of years, they've gone with the veterans. Isaac Yadam, Rock Ya-Sin last year over Sam Womack, Isaiah Oliver the year before over Deshaun Jameson. Do they do the same thing this year? Do they go with Trey Brown and Saron Neal over younger players that maybe have better upside in Jacob Robinson and Derek Canteen? So Canteen and Robinson are showing on the practice field that they're pretty good players for sure. All right, that's going to do it. Beautiful day. I think I'm going to go home and barbecue some ribeyes tonight. I'm thinking a couple ribeyes on the queue. And we'll be back here tomorrow. I am fired up for Monday. Catch me at 10 a.m. with JD on KBR, and then we'll be here at practice for the first padded practice from training camp. So thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.